What's going on, YouTube? It's Paul Piper back here with you, and tonight we've got yet another pipe tobacco review. This evening we're going to be reviewing Orlik Golden Sliced, one of the favorites out there in the premium pipe tobacco market. And I've already taken the luxury of lighting up a bowl here in my new estate pipe. I displayed this the other day. I got it at the estate sale, so check out that video if you haven't. It's my Savinelli Oscar. Like this pipe. It's got a nice extended shank, billiard, small stem. I'm listening to some Rat Pack. So in addition to tonight's review of, what did we say again? Orlik Golden Sliced, I'm going to comment a little bit on the passing of the great insult comic Don Rickles. Don Rickles, one of the best, and somebody that I can really appreciate, especially living in today's snowflake culture where everybody's offended by everything. At least Mr. Rickles gave you something to be offended by, and insulted you and everybody at every turn. And that's healthy. That's healthy for people. Gosh, people are just so insulted about everything today, and it's so unhealthy, and it impedes free speech. And somebody like Don Rickles, who advocated all sorts of free speech all the time, insulting people over any and every aspect of their character and whatever, that's healthy. That's healthy. You got to be able to take it. You know, you can't be such a pussy. Alright. But on to Orlik Golden Sliced. If you look this stuff up on tobaccoreviews.com, it is one of the most highly regarded pipe tobaccos out there. It is a vapor, or a Virginia-Perique, and it comes impressed. Let's get the presentation out of the way. Come on, Paul Piper. You're getting a little bit ahead of yourself tonight. That's not good. So we've got here, as you can see, the prudish judge, the old English judge, or I don't know if he's Danish, whatever the hell he is, some type of European fellow there with his powdered wig on, smoking his pipe. Says Orlik Tobacco Golden Sliced, made in Denmark, under guarantee by L. Orlik Limited, Orlik of London. So maybe he is a British fellow. A high-grade pipe tobacco smoked by all shrewd judges. And see on the back it says, this blend is composed of golden Virginia tobaccos with a touch of Perique, a fine natural sweetness in both taste and aroma, characterize Orlik Golden Slice. This cut is a traditional navy cut flake, i.e. pressed tobacco, and cut into this slices. Rub the tobacco slices gently before filling your pipe. Made in Denmark by Scandinavian Tobacco Group, Tucker, Georgia. So, now, if you look at the tobacco, they talk about it being pressed into slices. That's what it looks like. Now I've rubbed out some of this, and it's pretty unique. If you haven't seen sliced before, man, it smells good. Oh Lord. Good stuff all around. So basically you just take a bit of it. If you're rubbing it out, you just rub it between your thumb and forefinger or index finger, whatever you want to do. Just get that shit rubbed out and pack it in your pipe and light it up. Now, as I said, it smelled really good. Oh, man. Figginess, prunes, undertone of spice of some sort, and sweetness. So you have the grassy sweetness of the Virginia, you have the Perique with the spiciness, figgy undertones. That's what it smells like unlit. Now, as far as lip, pretty mild. I'm not getting, on the retro hail, you get a little bit of the spiciness of the Perique. And at the initial point of contact with the tongue and the mouth, you're getting the Virginia, the sweetness. I love Dean Martin. I love the Rat Pack. It's just a different era. And we'll touch back on Orlik Golden Sliced here in a minute. But I am going to talk a little bit more about Don Rickles. Don Rickles got his start with the chairman of the board himself, the man, the legend, Frank Sinatra. If you have not listened to the music of Frank Sinatra, again, I don't know what to say other than get your ass out and go listen to some Frank Sinatra. The Rat Pack was a little bit later in the history of Sinatra and even Dean Martin. Dean Martin came into national prominence and popularity in the 50s when he partnered with Jerry Lewis as Martin and Lewis. Sinatra came to fame when he started out as the lead singer of Tommy Dorsey's band. And again, if you don't know about Tommy Dorsey, then check out his music. That's a big band era. That's early 40s. And, you know, you might really fall in love, as I did. I've been listening to big band music, swing music, since I was probably 13, 14 years old. And I haven't turned back since. Kind of my music of choice is several genres. Big band, swing music, you know, crooners. Also, classic country. Love classic country. And classic rock. Those are Paul Piper's music genres of choice. But the Rat Pack consisted of a number of singers and entertainers in the 60s, early 60s, all the way through when it was disbanded in early 70s or whatever. You had Frank Sinatra as the chairman of the board, the leader himself. You had Sammy Davis Jr., you had Dean Martin, you had Peter Lawford, and that was kind of the main group. You had a few other minor characters in there, Eddie Fisher being one of them. But it was kind of the cool club, the man's man, and they would get together in Vegas. Sinatra was involved in the mob. Dean Martin less so, but he was really good buddies with Sinatra. And they all kind of just hung out and drank, smoked, play in the clubs, and have a good time. And one of the fairly early followers in that group, I don't know how I would characterize him as a groupie or something like that, was a young Don Rickles. And Don Rickles would get away with cutting the rug against Frank Sinatra. And you didn't do that. You didn't do that to Frank. You get away with it with other people, but Frank Sinatra would, punch you in the face. He wasn't somebody that you messed with. You can read all kind of stories about that. And Don Rickles got away with it because Sinatra thought he was so hilarious. And, it was a in-your-face insult comedy, brutally honest, very insightful, minutely insightful. And that was Don Rickles. And, do we have that type of comedian anymore? Do we have that type of entertainer anymore? No. Do we have the type of entertainers like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., people that actually had talent? Do we have people? Very few. There's very few, because the record labels, the big, multinational corporations run everything, and, they're not interested in talent. They're interested in, using computer programs to come up with lyrics and, musical notes and, just somebody that can sell a brand or whatever and make them money. They don't give a shit about actual talent. But those guys had talent. And in the country genre, Hank Williams and Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and, David Allan Coe, those people had talent. Not like today. I'm sorry. Not like today. But in the comedy sphere, Don Rickles had talent. And he wasn't afraid to say what he thought. Probably my other favorite comedian would be the late, great George Carlin. George Carlin, again, very intelligent, very insightful, great delivery. Just one of the best. I mean, Carlin was probably the best. But I do, as far as insult comics go, Don Rickles was the godfather of it. And, nowadays that doesn't exist. You have Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, who I like. Robert Schmeigel, voices him. You saw him on the Conan O'Brien show. Triumph is funny. But, we lost a great talent when we lost Don Rickles. And I hope, you have the new show on Comedy Central with Jeff Ross. And Jeff Ross tries to be this generation's Don Rickles. And he does a pretty good job with it. Being brutally honest and advocating free speech. But that's so critically important, folks, is, to uphold the constitutional principle of freedom of speech. If we lose that, if we lose the ability to speak freely, then we've lost it all. There's a few things. You have the Bill of Rights, and each one of them is critically important. And it's people like Don Rickles who helps put that out there in popular culture. So, cheers to you, Don Rickles, George Carlin. all the people within comedy who have the balls to speak the truth. And that's really what I wanted to say about that. So I'll circle back here like I usually do. Probably people at home are covering their ears and maybe don't like to hear opinions or whatever. Well, you know, okay. Orlik Golden Sliced. I'll give you an opinion on something that doesn't make you uneasy. That doesn't wreck your bubble or snowflake world, whatever it is. Orlik Golden Sliced. It's good. It's good Virginia-Perique. It's a it's a staple. I mean, it's just an absolute staple. It's very smooth. Doesn't give you any sort of tongue bite. There's no, gurgle moisture in the bowl. Even though I do relight more than the average Joe, it takes a modest amount of relights. It's just a very good flavor. I mean, it's a top quality tobacco. It's just good. It's good. And I guess that's really all I can say. I mean, you're going to have that sweetness with very light spiciness. Very light. Probably most evident on a retrohale. But beyond that, pick yourself up some. Definitely pick yourself up some. As far as Virginia-Perique, this is one of the best. One of the best. So one of those that you want to stock your cellar with. So anyway, Paul Piper's going to give Orlik Golden Sliced 8.75, maybe 9. It's really damn good. So pick yourself up some. Judge for yourself. Don't believe me. And anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you have subscribed, I thank you for it. And if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'll see you next time. It's been Paul Piper. Take care.